Hi, I'm Francesca Rudkin, and this month on Rialto Documentaries, we're screening a collection of fantastic New Zealand-made documentaries, including one of my favourites, Spookers, which is a film by Florian Habicht. Now, I'm absolutely delighted to have Florian in the studio with me to talk all about the making of his film. So first of all, Florian, tell us a little bit about Spookers and what it's all about.
So Spookers is a world-famous New Zealand place down south, half an hour from Auckland, where you pretty much go to get scared. And the people that work at Spookers, they get paid to scare people for a living.
It's kind of like a theme park,
yeah,
isn't it? Yeah,
theme
a little
park.
horror theme park, yeah.
Yeah, set up by this amazing farming family. In the beginning, when they're just starting out, they had like their friends and local bank manager in a maze chasing people with a chainsaw, and they realised that people loved that, and then they just kept bigger and bigger and started making like a freaky forest and a haunted attraction. And yeah, it's open on Friday and Saturday nights, and it's been going for 10 years, which is incredible. In my eyes, it's a bit like a Broadway show that's been going. And they employ 200 young actors. And I think there's a thing in New Zealand that when you turn 18, you have to go to Spookers, you know, and see if you can survive it, that kind of thing. Did you survive it? Well, for me, I'm a scaredy cat. Like, I'm even afraid of heights. Right. So I'm not afraid of spiders. But I always thought, no, it's not for me. Like, no. I'd rather probably go to Disneyland or something. So why did you decide to go and obviously spend a considerable amount of time out there? 2 years of my life. 2 years of your life in this terrifying place. Yeah, so I got a phone call one day from the Madman production company from Melbourne. And they had an idea, one of their employees, Suzanne Walker, she had an idea to make a documentary about spookers and about scaring people and scaring people for a living. And I was working on some scripts. I really wanted to be working on my dramas, but I thought, this sounds really interesting. I'm going to go and check it out. And I went along to Spookers with my camera. In the beginning, I was just expecting to be terrified, and what I stumbled upon was just kind of joy and love. And when I saw these actors, these young people getting ready with their makeup and all self-taught and incredible costumes, and it was quite infectious. And it was a bit like in the Muppet Show when they get ready before the big show. So then I wanted to go back for more. And what the next thing I learned was that Spookers is set in a former psychiatric hospital, Kingseed Hospital. And it's got an intense past, and you can feel it, and even the grounds. And then when I thought about what people are doing there now, scaring people in a place with such a dark history, that got me excited to make a film. And I kind of had a different vision for the film. I didn't want to make just a horror movie or a horror doco, but yeah, make a sort of more of a human portrait. But there is so much more to this film. It's, you know, there's so much more to it than just looking behind the scenes. There's sort of these layers and layers to this movie, which I think is one of the reasons that it's just so heartwarming. And it is a film about people's dreams and fears. And so how did you, I mean, obviously, as you mentioned, it's set in a former psychiatric hospital where obviously a lot of people had been dealing with fears and things. Is that where that idea came from, or was it just sort of a natural conversation to be having with people who were frightening people for a living? The sort of whole idea of creating this film around dreams and fears. Well, the dreams part, it was affecting all of us on the crew, our dreams from going there. Right. And so I was really interested how it affects these people that are like continually working there in that environment. And they started sharing their like dreams, which were more often nightmares to us. And I also knew that they were all like self-taught actors, a little bit like I was a self-taught filmmaker in the beginning. And then I just had an idea one day we could actually film their dreams, like script them, and then get the people at Spookers to kind of act in them. And that would give the film like another kind of layer. And we had like a studio for like 2 weeks where we created all these sets. Like we did it in the old school way, like we built an ocean out of cellophane and wind, or we had a flying bed, so we built this huge bed with motors that would move it. But they were just so professional, like, and one take wonders, and they would never get impatient waiting around. And I think it was because at Spookers, they have to be in character scaring for like maybe 8 hours non-stop with hardly any breaks when they're out in the freaky forest, whatever. So they were like the most hard-working actors I've come across.
They're probably thinking, geez, this real acting, you know, or this TV, film acting, this is a breeze, this is great, you know?
Totally.
One thing that you do really well, Florian, is you get people to open up to you. You know, the stories that you hear are very, very moving, and people are very honest with you. How do you do that? Because it's not the first time you've done this in a film, in a documentary. How do you get people to open up to you?
Well, one technique which I like is when I'm filming, like the documentary part of Spookers, I was just holding the camera and interviewing, and I had an assistant, and we did the sound together. But basically, it wasn't like having myself and 6 other people, say, interviewing you right now. It was almost one-on-one. And when an interview gets going, my assistant would leave the room as well, and then it pretty much is one-on-one. So that kind of disarms people already if you're not like having this huge, you know, crew and all that. And then another thing as well that I like doing is I like filming immediately.
Right.
So not giving people a chance to get nervous or to start thinking about it. And because it's coming from a good place and there's trust right in the beginning, it feels like we can do that. Like if I was exploiting someone or doing something with bad intentions, then that would be even worse, not giving them the chance. Like when they made Borat, they were filming immediately as a way to trick people so they didn't have time to think about what's going on. And is this a real journalist from Kazakhstan or is it? But in my case, it was more just, people actually realise then that they forget about the camera. They're like, it's just like, yeah.
So clearly you're using quite a small camera. What do you like to shoot on?
No, this was a shot on a big camera.
Oh, really?
And actually, I bought online, it was a bit of a risk, but I ordered these old Russian cinema lenses from Russia.
Right.
That were used in the 80s and 70s on Russian feature films. And this guy in Russia had adapted them so they'd fit onto a digital camera.
Yeah.
So it was actually the biggest camera I've used for a doco, and a little bit intimidating looking. And yeah, I had to pull focus while I was doing the interviews. So that was a bit.
It was quite a challenging shoot.
Yeah. But it makes it, like in the cinema especially, but it makes the film look really, like people comment that it looks really beautiful. And that's part because we didn't just shoot it on a small automatic camera. It was like, yeah, we used a real like old cinema gear.
So in amongst these wonderful conversations with the cast, who reveal themselves to be such a diverse and interesting and lovely group of people, there's also, obviously, footage of Spookers. And what is it? Why is it absolutely hilarious watching other people get scared? Like, if I went there, I wouldn't last. I think I'd just put my fingers in my ears and scream myself and get through that place as quickly as possible. But when you're sitting in the cinema or you're sitting at home, it's absolutely hilarious.
Do you think it's
watching other people getting...
Do you think it's that German word Schadenfreude that doesn't exist in the English language? Which is really funny that Germans know about it, which is getting pleasure out of other people's misfortunes.
I don't feel good about it. I've got to admit, I don't feel good about it. I know that I'm laughing at someone else's utter terror. Yeah. But it is hilarious.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you get terrified while you were shooting?
Oh, yeah. I was continually paranoid because I was going to drop the camera. And I asked people not to scare me, and they would, and I'd scream like a woman. Did
you explain to me you had very expensive Russian lenses from the 80s
I did.
on that camera?
I did, exactly.
You don't ignore the history of King's Seat Psychiatric Hospital. You know, you've included a nurse and you've included a former patient. You know, why did you take that path? Why did you decide to do that?
I met someone at a cafe. I saw them reading a book about mental health, which had a crazy cover about being mad. And I just started chatting to them because the book stood out. And they were a student of Deborah, who is the former patient in the film. And yeah, and I met Deborah, had coffee with her a few times, and then she agreed to do an interview for the film. And that, seriously, that day just blew me away hearing her story. She spent, I think, a third of her life at Kingseat, and her parents, they dropped her off. They started to visit her, and then the doctor said, she's too upset when you leave. I think it's better if you don't see her anymore. And then she was just, you know, locked up there for a long time. And yeah, that was really, I mean, heartbreaking, but also what she's done with her life is really, yeah. And the footage I've got from that day, it's 2 hours of footage. You could just put that, watch that, and it's a film in itself. It's so compelling.
And hers is just one of probably many, many stories which are similar, aren't they?
Yeah.
Now, look, you worked on this film with Peter O'Donoghue.
Yes, yep.
Who you work with quite a lot, haven't you?
That's
You've
right,
worked together
yeah.
with Love Story, Pulp.
Yeah, Pulp, Land of Long White Cloud.
Yes. So what is it about you two? What's this chemistry that you've got going on that you love to make movies together?
Oh, he's one of my best friends. Yeah, so I always, like, before Peter and I made films together, we were just friends. And I just always thought, oh, it'd be so great to actually work together. Because myself, I find that most of your life is working. So if you can do it with your friends, then that kind of makes life more worth living.
And you're working together at the moment, too, working on some new scripts.
Yes,
Drama.
Yeah, drama, 2 dramas.
Probably not allowed to tell us too much about that, but
Love
this
stories.
is 2018 is the year of writing scripts. Is that
Yeah, that's right.
More love stories?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Hey, well, look, thank you so much for coming and talking to us about Spookers.
Cool, we're done.
Yeah, we're done.
That was a fast
We
15
are
minutes,
done.
Francesca.
Love the film, so thank you. We're
Super.
thrilled to be playing it, and you can catch it on Thursday, the 26th of April at 8:30 p.m. on Rialto Channel.